Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss, the official podcast of Somos Moss NM and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bell. Joining me this evening, Fivehead, Jacob Terrell is back with us this week. Glad to have you back, Jacob. Earl is not with us this evening. There's a chance, apparently, that Earl may or may not pop on in about 45 minutes. And you will see exactly why he's not with us this evening. So, that being said, I do have a little bit of housekeeping to get to. Do appreciate every one of you popping in and watching the show over the past few weeks. Our numbers have been fantastic. You guys are doing awesome. Appreciate all of the love and support across social media. Jacob even went live during the match on Saturday evening and got some reaction to that.
I didn't quite go live. I have tried to go live in the past and it has not ended well for me. Mm-hmm. So I did a small video and then posted it, acting like it was live. And then my buddy Harry, who's hashtag Team Jacob almost all the time, just had to rip me a new one on Twitter there. But that's okay, Harry. I still love you and I will embrace it. And I will even go live at the next home match that I am attending, which probably won't be till who knows when, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, because as you let us in on it Saturday, your wife is due fairly soon. Hey, that's funny. We have no idea where Earl is.
He's somewhere between Point A and north of Santa Fe.
Yeah. Oh no, Earl's fan club has grown.
No, I don't think it's grown. I think it stayed the same because I'm relatively sure he lost Robert. If I'm being
okay, fair enough. You know, Earl has not been here, so obviously Robert is distraught over the loss of Earl. So, your wife is due basically any day now. Here in the next couple of weeks, and you guys, you're gonna be taking some time off from attending matches and potentially this show even. So, we are prepared for that as long as Earl can show up every now and then.
I still plan on being on the show.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm prepared in case you need to take time off as a new father, and you better start working on pigtails. So,
well, I already have a daughter, so
I know. Still, you better start working on pigtails because apparently I've been told that's a skill. That is a skill. So
it's a rather difficult one because I still have yet to master it. So.
Harry, we appreciate that, man. We do appreciate that. And I may lean on you here a little bit in the coming months.
Well, I thought he was offering me help with my kids.
He might do that too. But no, the coming months, you will be having a new addition to the family. You'll also be going to the police academy at some point. So busy time for you and your family. So, of course, we are here for you if you need anything throughout this. So, do appreciate you being here this evening. Had Carlos Tenorio on last week, so you guys know Sombrero Man, fantastic show. Thank you to Carlos for being here for that. I'm fairly certain that Earl has now taken over that phone.
I mean, we want Earl too. We just want Earl 100% with good info.
We do. We want Earl 100%.
I don't want Earl on here where it sounds like this. Yeah, guys, we're up here in a helicopter. That's what it sounded like.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 100% over on that now. Yeah.
And one other small bit of news. So I mentioned, I think it was a couple weeks ago that I was taking on a larger role at 1017 The Team. Starting next week, I will have a weekly segment on Team Talk. Tuesday afternoons, at some point right before True or False Tuesdays. So. As soon as I know the exact time, I'll let you guys know.
For the younger listeners, that's on the radio.
Yes, the radio in your car that your parents listen to.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's you dial it to a channel, and voices come out.
Turn the knob. Yeah, not even the not the Sirius XMs, not any of that. On your digital terrestrial radio, I should say.
And you can stream it.
You can. You certainly can.
Online there, but I mean it's still radio. So
ESPN Radio 1017theteam.com or 1017theteam.com and the 1017 The Team app. Those will be streamed there as well. So yeah, it's exciting times for all of us. Earl has a new family. Jacob has a new family member coming in. I'm going to have a new thing on the radio. So a lot of good things going on. But Jacob, I did have one burning question. I brought this up to you just before we came on air. And I know it doesn't necessarily affect you personally. Your kids are not old enough. You're also in a completely different school district. Here in Albuquerque, APS announced this week the brand new bell schedule for the 2023-2024 school year. So based on task force recommendations, the kids need more sleep, this, that, and the other. School starts are changing for pretty much every school in APS. The high schools, with the exception of New Futures, will now all be starting at 8:40 a.m. New Futures will start at 9:15 in the morning, go until 4:15 in the afternoon. The middle schools, they're all changing, except for Roosevelt, to 9:15 a.m. start time to 4:15 in the afternoon. Roosevelt will be 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. because they're also, if you're familiar with the area, Roosevelt and A. Montoya Elementary are all one big campus. So I'm assuming it's because of the buses and things like that that they're doing the same. Yes, Jacob.
What was it? What is it right now?
So right now, so San Antonio Elementary starts at 8:40 in the morning. I believe A. Montoya Roosevelt starts at 8 a.m. So how this is giving children more sleep when some of the schools are going to 7:30 in the morning, I don't know. Now them going to 9:15 in the morning, I can understand. That being a more an opportunity for more sleep for kids. The reason I bring this up is that obviously we have, youth athletics is something that we talk about on the show from time to time. Jacob, looking at this and knowing, what school schedules are like and how athletics basically take place right after school, how does this affect you? How do you think this is going to have an effect on youth sports for at least the next year, provided they don't change things back?
The exit or the dismissal time this year.
Yes.
What was it this year? What time do kids get out?
It depends on the school. So like San Antonio Elementary and like the East Mountain High School, they both get out 3:30 in the afternoon. Most schools get out around 3:30. Well, somewhere between 2:30 and 3:30, I should say, depending on the school, whether or not it's charter, APS, or whatnot. So, but most of them are right around like 3:30 now.
So we here at Sumner get out at 4 already. We have a 4-day school week. Kids don't go in on Friday. So it to me, it's not, I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference. Some schools, APS might be a little different because it's bigger, but a lot of schools have, like if you're on the basketball or football team, your final period is athletics or PE, but instead of being called PE, it's called athletics because it's basically just for football or basketball players. And then you basically start practice during the last period of the school year or of the day.
Okay.
So for high school sports, I just don't see it really making a huge difference, even if it's that hour, even if it's an hour later. I think there's ways that they're probably going to get around that. For youth sports, one, let's be honest. If you have kids in youth sports, as you know, Seth, you have no life anyways. So
pretty much,
does it really matter? I mean, you get off of school and then you either rush home to eat dinner so that you can make practice by 6, or you rush to practice right away and then you go home and rush dinner and then go to bed. So without having a little more knowledge of how things are going or what schedules are like now over there, my gut reaction is it's going to be a change, but at the end of the day, it's not going to ruin people's lives.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think it'll necessarily ruin lives, but like I've seen quite a few takes. One in particular is Adam Deal over on Twitter. He was not happy about this.
I don't know if you've seen Adam on Twitter. He's not happy about much, especially when it comes to APS. So
that's very true. But yeah, I mean, for parents, you talk about, parents who are already basically involved with youth sports and things like that. I mean, I obviously am. You mentioned that here a second ago. But like, I already have a very regimented work schedule to make sure that I can to make sure that athletics and the youth activities happen and things of that nature. To now have to completely change around parent schedule to have to to deal with work and things like that. Like this is a big change, because I mean most places now you don't have the traditional 9 to 5 jobs anymore. So a lot of people now are at work 7, 8 in the morning. And now you're saying your kids can't your kids can't be at school until 9:15. So in some instances, or 8:40 in some instances. So like I think it's a big change in how things are gonna be done for parents. And then youth sports. I mean, right now you look at middle school soccer. Middle school soccer is at like 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and now it's gonna be pushed to 5, 6 maybe, which. Yeah, and then you look at it and you go, okay, well, then the parents have to adjust schedules there in the afternoons as well. So I don't know. It's really interesting to see what happens, whether or not APS even continues with this. I don't know. I know they cited some study, so I just wanted to get your take on that and see what you thought.
I feel like it's to the people that are angry about it, might be just a hair get off my lawn. Added energy coming from him. But no, I mean, it's obviously anytime something like that happens, it's going to be an adjustment. But some things about change could be good, but you'll never know if you don't give it a shot. And so maybe they'll give it a shot and everybody will end up being like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. And it is easier to get my kids up in the morning and get them out of the door a little bit later. So who knows? It's interesting though. It's definitely anytime something like this changes, it's a definite talking point, and you never really know how it's going to go. It's probably going to be a disaster because it's APS. But who knows?
Yep, we'll certainly see how that happens in the fall. I'll be sure to report back on my findings and let you guys know just how terrible APS is again at that point. But beyond that, we finally had a home match this past weekend. New Mexico United went and played against San Diego Loyal at the Lab for the first time in 2023, matching a 1-1 draw. And Jacob, initially we were going to do an instant reaction Saturday evening. We didn't get to do that, unfortunately. I did send you Coach Prince's presser that also had Kalen Ryden and Austin Yearwood there on Saturday evening. First of all, how is it to finally be back at the Lab?
I mean, the season opener is always special. It's a little more special when you get 3 points, but at the same time, getting to see you in person and getting to see, the Curse march in and Carlos over there leading it, amongst all the countless others that you could name from over there. We had 11,000 some odd fans there, which is, as we talked about a little bit, somewhat disappointing compared to season openers in the past. But aside from, well, I guess last year's season opener was, I think, 12-5 or something like that. But it's still just exciting to see everything that's going on, see David hard at work and the rest of the front office staff over there, Peter over there mingling. I always love to see the fan or see the players interact with the fans and families after the game, and the energy that's there. Even in a draw, it was still jam packed down there. They still signed autographs for quite a while. I know I left about 9:45, 9:50, and the guys hadn't even come out of the locker room for the press conference. So it was a fun time for sure. And on the pitch, I thought it was a pretty good game all in all for United.
So real quick, looking back at attendance numbers, because this was something that was brought up on social media in different places. So obviously it was let me make sure I have the numbers right for Saturday evening. It was 11,233.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it was because Tyler had that. It was 11,233 was the home attendance at the opener this past weekend. In 2021, sorry, 2022, the home opener attendance was 11,247.
Oh, okay.
2021, obviously the return from COVID year, home opener was 8,647. And then you have to go back to season one where we had 12,896. So really, compared to
we didn't have 12-8 for the season opener, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2019, the inaugural match, yeah. 12,896. So I mean, really, outside of season one, I mean the numbers are obviously up from 2021. And I was looking at Soccer Stadium Digest and looking at their data ahead of week 6. They were tracking attendance, obviously, and the data shows that attendance is up 6% across the league from 2022 so far. Now, again, very early, not a whole lot of data, but the statistics show that fans are back. Now, I did have some people say that 11,233 is somewhat disappointing, but I really don't think it is. I mean, it's a sellout, more than a sellout at the Lab. And, compared to what we've seen in what we saw at, Rio Rancho High School, again, Tuesday night, really shitty weather.
Hey, what do you mean more than a sellout at the Lab?
Statistic, by the numbers, like what counts as a sellout. So and I believe it's actually more seats because the Berm was pretty well packed too. So
yeah, I know the Lab's stated capacity is like 12,300.
Something, it's somewhere around there. I'll look it up, but yeah, and no, this is Harry's got a point here too. No MLS 2 teams is a huge factor for the uptick in attendance. I would definitely agree with that. So Isotopes Park has 11,124 fixed seats with a listed capacity of 13,500.
13,500. Okay.
Yeah. So, but again, that includes the berm. That's not,
right.
But I thought it was a great showing for folks. And I mean, the Lab was packed. I took some video of it and it sounded really amazing. Like better than I've heard it in a while, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I thought we ended like maybe I just have a romance for the Colorado Springs match to end the season last year. And I remember that being exciting and crazy. But yeah, I mean, I was, for whatever reason, I was expecting over 12, and did not get it. And so I think it's just a matter, I mean, with everything, it's a matter of expectations versus what you should have expected. And so maybe I shouldn't have expected over 12. And that's why I might be like, oh man, I was expecting more, especially because it was pretty good weather. Having, I think every other year we've started in March, which, as you know, weather in New Mexico in March can be hit and miss. And I remember being cold for several times there at the Lab early in the season. And honestly, I was a little chilly, even Saturday. So, but it was still pretty good weather. It was against a top tier team that I thought might draw in a few more casuals. I know Donovan's not their coach anymore, but it still has that name association. So I thought we might get a few more there. But at the end of the day, I still think it's led the USL in attendance so far this year for single game attendance. And so it's still a win. It's still was exciting, still was loud, like you said. I mean, I don't think it was ever louder than when Coque Vegas was getting booed every time he touched the ball. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it definitely was. And getting to the play on the pitch, I did get a comment that I want to bring up. This was sent to me during the match on Saturday evening, and it says, this game definitely feels like there's more pressure and more energy. I got to say, though, that other team's goalie, man, he killed it the first few attempts. Definitely got overwhelmed with the pressure. I feel like each time I've watched this team, they have played different. Which, I mean, to be completely honest with you, like, this is a comment that I felt really spoke to how things have looked so far this season.
Was it from Harry?
No, it was not from Harry.
Okay.
It would not surprise me if that was from Harry, because that's a very astute point. Because I mean, there was a different. I mean, there legitimately was a different level of energy. At least watching these guys, in the first home match of the season.
Yeah, I think that's probably to be expected, at least to an extent. But it is what I mean. We talked about it with the Open Cup match. I know it was against a lower league opponent, but we came out and tried to kick their ass and succeeded. And I feel like in the first half, especially, we tried to come out and kick San Diego's ass, and we were creating chance after chance. Probably could have had one or two there, one or two extra, or one or two more there in the first half, in the first part of the first half, anyways. And then San Diego's a great team, so they're sitting third in the USL, or at least they were at time of kickoff, and they weren't just going to roll over and die by any means. So they fought back in the last part of that first half. And of course they get the equalizer on a set piece that, honestly, we looked stuck in the mud on. Like they had probably 4 or 5 guys that could have scored had the first guy missed it, without anybody. I don't know if it was a wrong stepped false offside trap or what the hell happened, but it was just a sea of orange coming right at Tambakis, who had no chance of doing anything with that. And so, then the second half comes and we looked, I mean, I told you after the match, there was a portion there where it was like a 10-minute span where we had like 4 or 5 shots. None of them, not very many of them, if any of them, found the goalkeeper, but it was good look after good look. And the only thing that is annoying, like I look at it in a vacuum, just that one match, and I'm like, that was a solid overall performance. It was good defensively, other than the one set piece. I thought we dominated Damas. He did not. He worried me going into this match, and at times in that first half worried me in like the first 5 minutes, because he just looked so much faster than anybody on our back line, and I was waiting for the ball over the top or something. But our midfield and our attacking players did a good job pressuring the ball when the ball was back there, to not let them get a free release on a long ball over the top to Ronaldo. And so I thought beginning to end, other than the one set piece goal, it was good for us. XG kind of, our game flow plus, or whatever the hell it's called on Twitter, kind of backed that up a little bit. There was, we did give up some chances, especially in that first half. At the end of that first half, there were probably like 4 or 5 that could have gone in for San Diego, including one where the guy, I mean, it was a sitter. And so
that would be a hijacked account, David. David, appreciate you being here in the stream with us this evening.
So we're watching the highlight there of the goal. I mean, it's a beautiful goal. Probably like our second or third decent chance of the night. And it's finally capitalized on by Hamilton there, who got Team of the Week honors today.
He sure did.
By the way, with a fantastic match there. He had a couple moments in the second half that I was like, come on, dude, what are you doing? But I'm just hard on him like that, especially lately. So here's another good chance from Doling there that you think, man, it could have gotten out of hand, and we could have been. This is the one that I was talking about where it was. I mean, he just misses this. Oh yeah. No, sorry, that wasn't the right one. You can see me there in the corner there when we watch these ones right here. But that one was going to be tough from any angle. And so I thought it was a good overall match. I thought it was a good night to, be Michael Bay Linslers. Thought it was a good night to be at the match. We had a good time as always.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was rough in the moment. I was right there, and it did not, it was not pretty by any means. And that was the one time Damas really kind of got through and had a chance to run onto something. And Tambakis does a great job of coming out and obviously risking a little bit there to make that save, but he does it and it ends up being a really good play. Here's the one that the guy just, I mean,
yeah, that was,
he makes contact with it and just, I mean, it should have been right there.
Mm-hmm.
Should have been should have been a goal for sure. And we did catch a break there. But and I think there's one more where it goes across the box. Right, I was right here. It goes all the way across. There's just nobody there. And so the first half was a little rough there at the end, but I think we settled in nicely after halftime. We came back, could have made a couple more moves, and possibly found a winner. But at the end of the day, it's a good team. Now I say that.
Hold on. I want to back this up here for just a second. So, if you notice, like when Damas is coming in down here on the right, our friend Jacob here, steps back.
Ask Earl about why I step back, because if you don't step back, you can get run over. As Suggs put a shoulder through Earl's chest one night.
Yeah.
Here's the goal here. Just a well-placed ball there. But looking at this match in a vacuum, you can come away going, oh yeah, it was a solid match. Bigger picture though, obviously this year is our first home game, but looking at last year, too many times we've been the better club at home and not gotten the result, whether it's a draw or even a loss, even though we've been the better club. And so it's not a trend I want to continue to see. And so we need to buck that trend and just come out and get some points at home next time here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Santi there, a couple of decent shots there towards the end. Santi, I would argue Santi looked better this week. Sam obviously had a much better week than he did last week against Monterey Bay. So, a lot of good things coming, in this match here against San Diego. Again, Loyal are one of the better teams in the West this season. David, to your question, I won't be able to. I don't know if Jacob's going to be able to make it or not.
No. Weekday pressers from now until the baby comes are going to be pretty hard to make. If you could make them on Zoom or at least a Zoom option, I could definitely hop on those. It's just
I could do that for sure.
2-hour drive for a 15-20 minute presser isn't in the budget for gas for my wife's size. But that's the simple answer for me.
David, I don't know if you can give us an update. We heard there was a staff member that got hurt on Saturday. How's he doing?
I can give you an update. I talked to him.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. He's fine.
He's good. Okay.
Said he's going to be in pain, a little bit of pain here and there for a little while it heals, but had a pallet come up, catch him in the chest, hurt a couple of ribs. Kind of like he compared it to a small car crash. And so just one of those things where the impact's gonna affect him for a little while. But shout out to Clint. He's been awesome to me, even when he was with First Financial Credit Union. And so I love that guy. He's day to day.
He's day to day. Perfect. Thank you, David. It was a lot of good things came out of the match on Saturday. Like, we definitely looked really good at times. One thing I noticed that Sam was playing particularly high there early in the first half, which obviously resulted in a couple shots for Sam. The second of which gave us the lead there. Great shot by Sam by all accounts. It really was. And then, you could argue that Santi should have had a goal there as well, if not for a pretty good kick save by Coque Vegas there. So there are definitely some moments that really stand out to me in this match. You look at Amando's cross that led to that goal. You look at some of the defensive moments that stood up, that stand out, controlling Damas, preventing him from having an impact on the game, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And really looking at this match compared to Monterey Bay, just almost night and day. There were a lot of things that we wanted to see, and I think we're going to start seeing more of going forward. Now, we found out late that Bees was a scratch. Due to an injury. We don't have too many details on that. Zach did give us a bit of information during the presser after the match. He doesn't think it's going to be a long-term, but longer than anyone would like, obviously.
He's not week to week yet. He's going to miss a few weeks. It sounded like, but hopefully not going to be like a half a season type of thing, which losing Nava and then Weehan going down, that's a lot of creativity in that midfield that we are going to be hurting. But I do feel like offensively, we looked really good at stretches there, even with those injuries. And so maybe it won't be quite the negative effect that we think it could be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how Zach continues to play around that. Obviously, again, the play Saturday night was pretty good. We saw, again, a lot of good things. And to David's point there, the improved defending for all positions was wonderful. It really was. Like, that's something too that I noted in my notes that I had as I was taking throughout the match. And you see Amando tracking back at times. You see Santi tracking back. That's like as deep as Amando had been. But you see, there's one play in particular, like Amando tracked back. I want to say it was first half. San Diego's pushing down. You see Amando basically down where a left back would be, trying to make a play on a ball down there. So yeah, just that. And then defensively, we held our shape well across the back. Felt like Kalen had a strong match. Austin Yearwood got the start. Great to see Austin get back out there and get some minutes. Like, he played really well.
I don't know. Like, I have no exact knowledge. He was limping there after the match ever so slightly. And when he went down late in that second half, he was holding his ankle, his Achilles area. And honestly, it didn't look good when he first went down. He did finish out the match. He was obviously hobbled a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if that, after the match and after the adrenaline wore off, if he wasn't feeling a little bit more. So I don't know if he'll be on an injury report this weekend, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is, as painful as that is to say.
Yeah, he seemed to be moving okay as he came up into the presser. But again, as the week goes on, depending on if it's a significant enough knock, will it, prevent Austin from playing this coming weekend? But yeah, looking at just how things played out, like, the return of Justin Portillo. I think Justin Portillo had a huge impact on this match as well. And, really aside from the one set piece, there at the end of the first half, which to me, if you watch that, it looks like Conway just happened to step in front and be the only one that could get ahead to that ball. And I can't question Alex's positioning too much. I mean, I know you want to defend that far post, but, Conway's head on that ball down to the bottom right corner, there really wasn't much that Alex could do about it.
No.
And I looking at the replay there, I don't see that we tried to step up or anything. It just looks like the ball came into a perfect position for Conway.
That angle, though, like, I'm telling you, there was at least one or two other San Diego players that had Conway not got his head to it. They might, it wouldn't have been as easy of a finish, quote unquote, easy of a finish as Conway had, but they were definitely behind our line and the ball was headed towards their midsection or feet, or, of course, that'd have been closer to Tambakis, so he might have been able to make a play on it, but it wasn't just Conway that had a chance, even though it looks like it from the angle that I think from that camera that we were talking about after the match that was in the outfield. I think that angle would show that there's a few opportunities there for them to score.
Yeah, and really, to be honest, like, that was the last real threat that San Diego put for the entire night. You look at the stats, and I think it was, if I remember right, it was 7 shots apiece at the end of the first half. Both sides had 4 on target, and then San Diego only had 3. I think it was 3 shots in the entire second half. So I mean, it's not that we defended poorly in the first half. We defended really well. They just weren't able to. We didn't give San Diego clean looks at goal, really, on any of them. We did see the highlights earlier. Obviously, there were a couple opportunities that Damas didn't take advantage of, and then there was that other cross that got completely misplayed. That San Diego could have slid another goal or two in, but realistically, you look at the play throughout the match, especially in the second half, and that was a fantastic defensive showing. I mean, yeah, we gave possession in the second half, but That's fine. Like, I'll let San Diego pass the ball around, like, by all means. But, when you look at how they were prevented from going forward in a lot of instances, like, drastic improvement over Monterey.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking for the game flow for it because I had seen it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. The XG was massively in our favor.
I was thinking it wasn't. I know we had like over a 2, but I feel like they had like a 1.6 or something like that. I thought.
I don't remember,
but I wanted to double check and make sure because, what was that? You have kids screaming at your house?
I've got my window open because there's no reason to be running the air conditioner when it's a nice 65 degrees. So, but yes, apparently some kid is still running around outside playing.
Okay. Yeah, see, it was 2.01 to 1.64.
Okay.
But you looking at that, so what I like to do with the game flow XG anyways is look at how many of the bars are over that 0.1 number.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that were over it, 1 that was almost at it, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the goal. But almost all of those came. They were basically all that into the second half, aside from 1 in the first half, which I'm not even sure which one that is off the top of my head. Early in the first half, but the second half is basically non-existent for San Diego. So if you broke this down by half, I mean, the second half would be very, very, very low. And we had a few good chances in there that that could have swung this game in our favor. There were a few people in there that XG doesn't tell the whole story, and you're right, it doesn't. But I think it does a decent job of saying who is the better team over the match as a whole. Even if results don't actually go that way. And so I do think we were the better team for the majority of that match. And the XG kind of proves that out. And the eye test proved it out. The only thing I will say is that watching the game from field level, while awesome and insightful in a lot of ways, you do lose a lot of tactics, and it's hard to see shapes and lines from up there or from down there. So I did plan on rewatching this match, but 1, I'm busy, and 2, the one time that I did try to rewatch it, it was a hard watch. It was a pretty hard watch. We talked about that a little bit after the fact, and it was, the broadcast wasn't the best broadcast I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this is something I spent a bit of time on Reddit talking about, because Reddit is Reddit, and people were complaining up and down, side to side, about the broadcast, and you're trying to explain that there were some issues that popped up ahead of game time. Mm-hmm. We've heard about some of them. The lift for the center field camera broke, and the club had to go and rent another lift shortly before the game. The renovations at Ice Park have left the outfield warning track in a very soft position. So the lift was sinking down into the warning track. So they had to roll the lift out on pallets, which is how Clint got hurt. And it took them, from what I was told, an hour and a half longer than normal. Basically, instead of it taking just a matter of minutes, it took about an hour and a half to get the lift in position. And the lift couldn't go as high as the one that always. So yeah, a lot of changes to the broadcast. There was a new camera out by the 428 sign in left center field. People were complaining about that. People also, like, guys, just stop.
Why were they complaining about that?
So I don't know. They were complaining about like one of the cameras being smudgy or something, and I think that's the one they were talking about. And then that camera at 420 was, particularly when it looked right straight down at the goal, wasn't necessarily a great shot, if you ask me. But
I mean, it was a great shot of my forehead.
It absolutely was. It was, and yes, Reddit is awful. There are a few diehards that do go over to the New Mexico United subreddit and participate in the match threads over there, providing instant feedback and armchair quarterbacking that I'm sure Zach will never ever see.
Reddit is what people think Twitter is.
Yeah.
Everybody complains about Twitter being a terrible place. And granted, it's not the greatest place in the world. But Reddit is by far the worst place. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
and it's all. I mean, you can be anonymous on Twitter too, but if you get people with dumb takes, Cole,
Cole.
If you hold on, if you get them and they are anonymous, they're even more unfiltered, and that's why Reddit is just insanely annoying. I was in there I think it was last year or the year before last. And was like, oh yeah, it's active in here, it's fun, and then very quickly I was like, what? Nah, never mind. Like New Mexico United Nation isn't the happiest place on earth, but but it's better than Reddit.
I'll be honest. I love the fan base as a whole, but New Mexico United Nation is a big reason why I don't go on Facebook, because over the past 24 to 48 hours, every time I open up Facebook, Cole has been there.
I'm sure he's going to listen to this a little bit. I mean, him went back and forth on Twitter or on Facebook a little bit. He said, "Oh, you know you love me, Jacob," and I gotta admit, he at least brings some talking points and some stuff. And I don't. A lot of what he says, I don't 100% disagree with. It's just the way he says it is just so bloody annoying.
And then he doesn't stop.
No, he doubles down.
He responds to everybody.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I appreciate that part, because at least he's they're fighting for it instead of just putting out one hot take and then disappearing and letting everybody else get out in the comments. He's at least in there getting dirty, going around with people. And so I actually invited him on the pod at some point, because I do think that would be entertaining as hell. Maybe on an off week when we don't have a match to talk about.
And he's never taken us up on it. So
no, I invited him
yesterday
or day before. And he said he'd love to, just let him know. And so so one of these days when we don't have a match to talk about or something like that, and Earl, inevitably when Earl gets pink eye again, we will we'll bring him on just for shits and giggles.
That should be an interesting conversation. I mean, I saw one today talking about saying that we should put the stadium at the corner of Central and San Pedro. I'm like, no. I didn't go reply to this. I said, look, I'm thinking to myself, I appreciate the effort that someone went and put into this, doing the renderings and it's putting out, what a potential stadium could be like in that area.
Who was it?
Was it Xavier?
Oh, Javier, yeah.
Maybe. I just Central and San Pedro, talking about walking around. No, I don't even want to drive through Central and San Pedro. I'm sorry. I appreciate the effort, I do, but
he works for an architect firm too. So
okay.
I love Javier. He's great, but yeah, that location. I think look, there's going to be pluses and minuses to every location.
Yeah.
The thing about downtown Cole, if you're listening, is there's just not enough land down there that is available for a price that we United can pay for. Yeah. Everybody with the public funded stadium and stuff talks about, these rich owners. Sorry, but a USL team isn't by any means an NFL team. And so, yes, they are well off compared to me and you and Cole and everybody else in New Mexico United Nation, basically. They're not like Scrooge McDuck with a pile of money in their basement that they swim in every day. That's just not how it works. So there's got to be business like Cole's big thing was, oh, if you do what's right for the community and not what's right for the business. Well, they're businessmen. Obviously, Peter has shown that he proved to me that he wants to do what's best for the community. But at some point, there's a line that just, it doesn't make sense financially to do certain things. And I think a downtown stadium is going to be one of those things. I think downtown is dead. But that doesn't mean that it can't be a perfect spot somewhere else.
So 1 second. I got a clip that I would like to show.
I don't think we have sound on this.
No.
I can't hear anything, but.
Oh. I can hear. Hang on. We'll get this. I'm gonna stop that real quick. Because I know I can do it with audio.
Subliminal Man.
Oh, it's okay. Hang on.
Subliminal Man coming in with comments on YouTube. Leave it to the stadium to get some comments. I think any location should not be seen as the now, but how it can lift it up in the years to come. That's why I get really annoyed at the edges of town rather than a more central location. I get it. It's just there comes a cost benefit analysis that needs to happen there, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. I think Mesa del Sol and Balloon Fiesta Park are both viable options. Okay.
Well, it's all water under the bridge. And we do enter the next round robin. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Okay, then.
Thank you, David. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's
Thank
the one
you.
that David put in there.
That's the one that David put in the chat. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll get into the stadium topic more and more as
we should be getting an announcement soon.
Well,
on a location,
maybe
we should be.
That was a possibly inebriated Peter. That's how he feels about Reddit. That's how I feel about Cole sometimes. But no, it's a topic for another day. We got. We'll see if Earl pops in, but we do have a match coming up Saturday. Mm-hmm. It is against the Little Brothers up north, Colorado Springs Switchbacks, who I think they were off, if I'm not mistaken.
They lost to Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, they got their butts handed to them by
Sacramento. And Maka King is out for the next match.
Interesting.
Yep.
I was surprised he didn't play more for them at times. So Colorado Springs is sitting in fourth place in the West, only 1 point behind San Antonio and San Diego. They had 2 wins in a row before coming up against Sacramento, 1-0 against Loudoun and 1-0 against Pittsburgh. Before that, they lost to San Antonio. They drew Hartford. And then, of course, the big loss to Sacramento just this week. Sacramento seems to be a juggernaut right now, which is interesting. I think Colorado Springs is a solid team, if not a spectacular team. But it's definitely a place that I think we feel comfortable playing in, and should
5-2-1 all time in Colorado.
So we should be able to go up there and have a strong outing and come back with at the very least a draw. But hopefully we can get 3 points and get back to our winning ways after 1 win to start the season. And what I thought was probably going to be the toughest game of the season so far, and then we kind of let down against Oakland. Monterey Bay, I think we just take that and we crumble up in a little ball and we throw it in the trash because it was I think that's going to be an anomaly as far as what we continue to see going forward. But how are you feeling about Colorado Springs this year and this match coming up in particular?
So yeah, they're sitting, fourth in the table. I haven't been terribly impressed with them though. They're not necessarily putting up big numbers. Romario Williams is having a decent season so far. Not great. Not necessarily something that I would put in the Golden Boot race this year. But they have some pieces. They really do. You look across that roster, they've got some guys that can really perform at a high level. Again, this is kind of a resurgence hope for Romario here. We just mentioned Maka King. He's going to be out for the next match. I mean, they've got guys like Ockford, Mahoney, up and down the Skundrich is there. James Moose is there. Yeah, Beckford. Like, they've got pieces up and down that roster that are guys that we're very familiar with.
And I will eat some words here. Harry, if you're still in the chat, you might need to own up to this too. We all kind of mocked Earl for his pick of Colorado Springs, but then he listed some names, and then you're now listing names. They do have talent there, and so far the talent, while it has been ugly at times, they've put together a solid beginning to the season, and are sitting in fourth place, just one off of the defending champs. And so I will kind of go back and say, hey, we might have been ever so slightly wrong on them. They might be a little bit better than we thought they were going to be. I still don't know if they finish in the top four at the end of the year, obviously, but they're at least competing. And the West, I mean, it's we're sitting in tied for last with 4 points through 4 matches, though. So we have a couple matches in hand. We can move up if we can capitalize on some things, but the West, just like last year, you might have a little bit of separation at the top, but then that 4 through 11 or even 12 possibly is going to be real tight, and jockeying for position is going to be a big deal there. It's kind of like, I know you don't watch the NBA much, but the West in the NBA this year, from 5 to I think it was 12, was really, really close, and it came down to the final match or final games of the season to determine seeding there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens in the West here in the USL.
Well, I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, that's how the West has been every year since we've been in the league. It's always been really tight. I mean, obviously you have one or two that pull away, but then, like you said, 3 through about I don't know if I would go 12, but I would say like 3 through maybe like 10 is going to be really tight.
Well, I don't know, because
this year you could probably extend that to 11 or 12, but
yeah, because like Vegas is sitting in 12th with 4 draws, and have looked decent through all of that. But it does show that draws kind of suck, because they're sitting there with 4 draws. We've got 2 losses on our books, and we're still ahead of them because we've got a win in there. So wins are just so important, and if they can either go one of 2 ways. They can start turning some of these draws into wins and really move up, or some of these draws will start turning to losses and they'll kind of fall. But I think everybody else there, us, Rising, Orange County, RGV, even El Paso, as much as it pains me to say it, have all looked decent to good to start this year at times. And so I don't think any of those guys are going to fall off. Lights is probably the only one that might, and I honestly wouldn't put it past them to not do that. So it's going to be a tight race all year long, and every match really, really matters.
Yeah, no, it absolutely will. Obviously you mentioned the matches in hand. That's going to be massive for us here in the coming weeks, because the schedule does start to get real thick, real quick. We've got Colorado at the weekend. We've got Open Cup middle of the week next week. Then, we have another match next weekend. So it's going to start coming real fast for New Mexico United. And we have Orange County after that. I was trying to remember who it was off the top of my head. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. We already have the injury concerns that we talked about. We have just how competitive this Western Conference is. So, but staying focused on Colorado here for just another minute before we do get out of here. What's the expectation Saturday at Widener Field? Do you think New Mexico United continues the historic trend of playing well and picking up 3 points on the road? Or do you think that we see kind of a return to what we saw, in the first and 2 of the first 3 matches of the season?
Well, I think obviously my prediction is going to be 3 points. When I sit here and think about it and talk it out, we haven't looked super good this year. Even the win was a little rough around the edges. This last match was clearly the best match that we've played all year, though. I think even better than the win that we had in Miami. And so that's encouraging. Colorado Springs is, we talked about them this year. Historically, though, I think if I remember correctly, most of those 5 wins came in the first 3 seasons. And then since then, it's been pretty even. Obviously, Haji Berry and company up there made, played a big role in some of those losses, and they're not there anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if these new pieces can hurt us as much as Haji did. And I'm sorry. I know you mentioned Romario, but I really hope we just take it to him and kick the shit out of him. Because I could be wrong, but one thing I'm going to be watching in that match is Romario and Seymour, because they did have a little bit of a Twitter thing going on after the preseason match against Colorado Springs, and so that's going to be an interesting matchup up there if Romario ends up playing, and so definitely looking forward to that. I do think we can do what we did to San Diego in the first half to them. And it's basically going to come down to if just one of those good chances early goes in, then it's going to be a battle. And if we can get 2 or even 3 early, then maybe that turns things around and we can settle in and get a comfortable win. I think if we're doing predictions now, I'm going to say I'm going to go with my heart just a little bit and say 3-0 us.
Okay. Yeah, looking at the roster again, there are a lot of guys that we know, a lot of pieces that we know can be dangerous. My biggest question mark for Colorado is their goalkeepers. That's my biggest concern for them. Looking at the roster, they've got Christian Herrera, Alex Smear, and Joe Kuzminski. I mean, obviously Kuzminski is a name that we should know. But the performances haven't been there from the goalkeepers yet. So I think they are vulnerable at the back, particularly without Maka King being in there. So I do think that this is one where United does continue the historic trend. We're going to go up to Colorado, whether it's the Rapids or the Switchbacks. It's not going to matter. We're going to pick up 3 points. I'm not going to necessarily say 3-0. I don't think we're quite there yet. I'm going to go 2-0 United on the road against Colorado Springs.
And so we recognize that I recognize the name Maka King. I remember him more from El Paso. I know last year when he made the move to Colorado Springs, he was not an everyday player. Have you looked and has he actually been in these matches?
I'll pull that up for you here real quick.
Because I'm in there now, kind of looking at some stuff, but I'm not seeing
Maka King, 5 appearances, 5 starts, 375 minutes.
Okay, so that good. I'm glad that's the case. I actually really like Maka King, and so him missing this game isn't going to hurt my feelings because I do think he's a pretty good player. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think we can catch them. I mean, if they lose 4-0 to Sacramento and then we can go out and lay a couple goals down early, I think they might just roll over at the moment, even though they're playing at home. So definitely important to start like we did against San Diego and find a goal, hopefully a couple, really put the pressure on them and hope that they crumble. And I think that could be what happens for sure.
Yep, going to be interesting to watch this Saturday night. Of course, is a 6 p.m. kickoff for us, so that is a change from what we're used to. So make sure you tune in to ESPN Radio 117 The Team or ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening to catch New Mexico United in action. I didn't have anything else for this evening. Jacob, do you have anything you want to discuss before you close us out?
No, man, I got nothing. Just thanks to everybody in the chat. Subliminal man, I cannot say that word to save my. I feel like I messed it up. But David, of course, I love having you in the chat. Earl Earl disguised as his girlfriend. I guess. Thank you for being in the chat. Harry and Robert, as always, are in there. Good to have them. Those that are listening and not watching, please sure to rate and review the show on whatever podcast platform you're looking at. If you are watching, make sure you subscribe so you get that notification when we go live on Tuesday nights. I believe we will be back Saturday night. That'll be about 8:30, about 30 minutes after the final whistle. At least me and Seth will be on here to discuss and get instant reactions and hopefully talk about 3 points. Maybe Earl will have recovered from his ailments and will actually make time for people that I thought he cared about. And
I was not expecting that.
And I'm a little hurt. My feelings are hurt. And so hopefully maybe we can get him there. Hopefully, if not, then he'll be here next Tuesday. So be sure to tune in Saturday around 8:30 for our instant reactions to the Colorado Springs match. And then, of course, Tuesday we'll be back. We'll be talking about an Open Cup match that'll be coming up. It's on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, yeah.
Open Cup on next Wednesday. Then we've got another home match right after that in Orange County.
Speaking of, sorry, real quick. 101 team will be running ticket giveaways for both the Open Cup match and for the Orange County match next week. The details will be coming on that, but basically all you have to do is go like, share, comment on any of the social media posts, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you will be entered for a chance to win 2 tickets to each match. And for the Open Cup match, we're giving away 2 sets of tickets. First place winner is going to get 2 tickets and a $50 New Mexico United shop gift card. Second place will get 2 tickets to the Open Cup match. So
nice.
We're doing something similar for the Orange County match as well.
And even if you don't win the tickets to the Open Cup match, they are only $19 no matter where you're sitting. So that's your chance to get into those premium seats for dirt cheap and watch a semi-quality opponent in Phoenix come to the lab and hopefully lose to us in that one. So we'll be back. We'll have instant reactions, like I said, to that, or to the Tuesday game, or to the Saturday game. We'll be here Tuesday for our normally scheduled stuff. Wednesday, maybe instant reaction to that one, depending on how schedules go. And if Maggie gets here, that's around the time we're starting to expect her to make her appearance in this world. So I might be indisposed for good reason on that one. Who knows? My youngest boy was born during a United match, so maybe that's a sign that my little girl will be born during either Wednesday's or Saturday's home match. But we'll see. Thank you, David. And so we'll kind of play that by ear, but we'll definitely be here Saturday night. And somebody will be here Tuesday. Hopefully I can make it unless the baby's here, but we'll go from there. You can catch us there. You can follow the social media. We're on and off as far as being active on those. I think we've done a much better job this year of putting out stuff, and so we'll continue to do that to the best of our abilities. And hopefully Earl gets better and we can see him in the next coming days. And until Saturday night, guys, Somos Unidos.